The other Celtic talking point that I need to raise before we finish up, guys, surrounds Daizen Maeda, because he's been away, obviously, on international duty with Japan. He missed their first game, actually, I think it was yesterday, with a bruise that he picked up in the game against Rangers. But he was asked by Tokyo Sports, he was pressed directly on whether or not he'd be joining a, quotes, top 5 league in the summer. And his answer, his quotes were, "I don't think about whether I can't play for the team I go to or not. I just fight for the team I am with, and that's all I want to do. I think it would be good if I can do that." So yeah, he missed the game against Bahrain. He's expected to play against Saudi Arabia. I think that's tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
But look, I mean, we already know this, but Dave Joyce writes in saying, if Maeda is headhunted, well, he'll cost some money. He'll cost some club an awful lot of money. He definitely breaks all records for Scottish transfers. I mean, I'm sure Celtic fans won't be hoping he leaves this summer, but if there is interest, do you think he breaks Kieran Tierney money? Or is that a bit too much?
Well, Celtic have kind of set the standard now, haven't they? The £25 million mark. I think if they could get something around that level for Maeda, it's a deal that they're just not going to turn down, is it?
Do you think they could do that? Was that a bit too much?
I'm not. What age is Maeda now? 27?
27, yeah.
27 going on 28. I don't know. Listen, I think he's a really good player. We've all raved about him throughout the course of the season, and I think that Brendan Rodgers made him an even better player in the final third with his decision making. You know, he's more clinical now in front of goal. He's a better player than the one that Brendan Rodgers inherited. But I don't know. When people spend money like that, I think they're looking at Matt O'Reilly's players who are right at the start of the journey, as opposed to kind of getting a little bit nearer to the end. Kieran Tierney comes into that category as well. So I don't know, but nothing would surprise you with Celtic, because they run their business so well, and they know how to work the market, and they know how to get big fees in. So nothing would surprise you.
In the comment section, Mick Rebels, you're right, Grandad.
Sorry.
What do you think, Mick? 25 million, is that reasonable?
I just think. Sorry, there's a loss there. I just think that he's maybe not quite technical enough to get to that kind of price range. I think he's really effective. I mean, he's the best in the business in terms of his sprinting, his closing down, his pressing. I just think to get to an English Premier League team who pay that kind of money, you need to be a wee bit more technical. I don't think that's quite his game. So I wonder where he slots in. At a certain level as well, that harassing game when you're pushing centre backs and full backs, the higher up you go, the more comfortable these guys are getting pressed. I mean, we saw it in Dortmund. The Dortmund full backs getting pressed, just dropped a shoulder and made a wee pass. They didn't panic. In Scotland, you see full backs, their hair on fire when midges come down. So it's not quite the same. So I think his value to Celtic is probably higher than the value that they could maybe attract in the transfer market. I do think some of his displays in Europe, I mean, the Bayern Munich game in Germany and all that stuff, he was absolutely terrific. That might attract a bit of attention. So they might get up towards that 20 million. Because, and let's be honest, 20 million now in global terms for certain clubs, it's washers. I mean, that really is. I mean, it's reserved. Fullbacks are getting £20 million for them. So that's not a lot of money. It is to Celtic. If that kind of money comes in, it has to go. That's the model. You have to sell these players at that value. A couple of years in his contract left. If they get £20 million, you thank him and wish him all the best and bring in somebody else. That's the way it has to be. That's the fabled player recruitment model, etc. That's why it's been so successful at Celtic. So he's got to do that. In the meantime, he's not going to get his head turned with speculation. He's not banging doors down to go elsewhere. He's a great guy for just concentrating the job in hand, whether it's Japan this week or it's Celtic next week. I mean, listen, I've interviewed him now several times over the years. He's a strange kind of character. He's so straight-laced and all that stuff, and it's like turbo focused. I mean, it must be a dream for a manager. but he's a hard nut to crack in terms of his personality. He's very much his own man, but he won't shirk or drop off. That's for sure, no matter what's happening in terms of speculation. So him saying that is fine, but the reality is on the pitch, it won't matter a jot.
Aye. Well, look, I took a lot of stick for saying that last week. Peter in the comment section says, Daizen is going nowhere. He says, you're trying your best to sell Celtic players.
Celtic is your best to sell Celtic players. That's
exactly, mate. Exactly.
That's no Peter Lawwell's message, is it?
We'll check up on that, but Rebel says Daizen.
I think I'm trying my best.
Daizen seems settled and happy in Glasgow. But look,
that's true.
I agree with that as well. And look, I hope I'm wrong, but 2 years left in his contract. The World Cup, just over a year away from now. 27 years old.
Daniel, well done. You started this by saying that he's come out and said, I'm not interested in moving anywhere. Yeah. And now you're starting to say, well, I'm just not, I don't know if I'm buying that. I did tell you the other week, you were asking me about it. I said, he's not like, I think that Kyogo, we all know that he'd been agitating behind the scenes. I think that Rio Hatate is doing likewise. And I don't think that Daizen Maeda falls into the same category. I think he's happy. I think his family's settled. And I don't believe that he's in a rush to leave. But Mick's absolutely right in terms of if Celtic can maximise the profit on this, if somebody does come in with what we in this country would deem, funny money, if they can get up towards that sort of mark that they've achieved previously, then it'll be Celtic that are agitating for the move, no Daizen Maeda.
Craigie rightly says whether it's Maeda, Kuhn, Raskin, Butland, money talks in football.
Yeah.
I think that's the bottom line.
Correct.
Yeah.